MVP Baseball 2005. Yes, a 13-year-old baseball game is on my top 10 favorite games of all time list. So MVP Baseball 2005 is essentially EA's swan song for their baseball franchise, as there would be another entry, well, it was a college baseball game of 2006, and believe it or not, there is actually a MVP Baseball 2007 that I need to get my hands on. It's actually another college baseball game. It was only on the PS2. I need to find that game. I've never seen it. But MVP Baseball 2005 is one of the most simple baseball games I've ever played, but it's executed so perfectly, so jaw-droppingly well, that it has to be on my list. It's one of my most played games of all time. And please do excuse the emulation and all the crappy graphics. This game apparently does not like being emulated very much. But graphically speaking, I do think it actually holds up pretty well considering it's 13 years old. It's definitely not perfect. There are some areas that it is fugly to look at, but graphically speaking, I think player models for the most part actually aren't that bad, even if they are a bit samey. But the only real downside to this game is the owner mode, which is broken beyond belief. It is so unbalanced. And then there's definitely some audio issues. This game has possibly the worst licensed soundtrack I've ever seen in a video game, which is kind of ironic considering Madden 06 is possibly the best. But MVP Baseball 2005 is legendary. It's one of the best baseball games of all time. Definitely EA's finest hour with their baseball series. Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. So this was actually on my list that I did 3 years ago. And I think the game had just come out. It had been out for like a month. And it's fallen back a spot or two if you watch that video. Simply because the more I've played it recently, the more I do realize, holy shit, there is a lot of dialogue in this game. Like, there are like 10-minute sequences where you're just talking to people. And while back in the day I was absolutely just addicted and hooked to this franchise's story, the more I play it now, I've seen all this stuff like 3 or 4 times before. So it's like, alright, skip. Okay, make sure I don't skip, get this choice right, skip. So now, whenever I replay, I'm finding myself trying to get through dialogue as fast as humanly possible for simply like another 10 minutes of playtime where I actually go kill shit. So Witcher 3, it's still one of my favorite games of this generation. I still love it to death, but it is falling back a little bit simply due to that fact that there is so much dialogue in this game. But Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, it has some detractors, and to them I say, get out. This game is awesome. Next. Borderlands 2 is the shoot and loot game that many of modern day games wish they were. Everybody is still playing catch up to Borderlands 2 almost 6 years later, and for good reason. It is that good. Destiny wishes it could have randomized loot and hilarious dialogue like Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2 is basically Mad Max mixed with God knows what else on absolute crack and many other drugs. It is goddamn amazing. One of the most fun co-op experiences you can have in gaming. One of the late last generation titles that still, if you play it today, is one of the best games that you can play right now. It is so much fun. You just have to play it to experience it. Action RPG goodness, and action RPG really perfection. Very possibly my most played game of all time, Smash Brothers Brawl. To give you an idea of how much time I have put into this game, well, for one, I actually can't prove that it's my most played game of all time. I'm simply doing an estimate here, since my save file was deleted, like back in 2011 or 2012. But Smash Brothers Brawl, after I got the game, which was Christmas of 2008, for about the next 2 years straight, I would play the game at least half an hour every day. Yeah, there were several times where I would play it for like half an hour, and then at night play it for like another hour. Every day for the next 2 years. That is how much time I put into Smash Bros. Brawl. I freaking loved this game. This game has an enormous roster of playable characters, a single player mode that I still love and did a Let's Play of, and you're watching it, and the stage editor, the custom stage builder for Smash Bros. Brawl is the single most underrated stage builder ever. It's so simple, yet so satisfying and fun to use. The new Smash Bros. They really over-designed it. I think really over-produced their stage editor. I have no idea how the thing even works down to this day. Smash Bros. Brawl was one of the most must-have titles for the Wii. It was so much fun. Definitely one of the reasons why I think the Wii is one of the best consoles ever made. Smash Bros. Brawl, must play if you're a fan of the Smash Bros. Series. If you haven't played it yet, what the hell are you doing? Doom 2016. Oh yeah, if you're talking a game that ascended this list in about a quarter of a second, it did that from freaking the word go. Doom 2016 is one of the best FPS experiences you can ever have in terms of a single player campaign. The snap map is still one of the things that I really need to dive into sometime. I've dabbled with it a little bit, but the stuff that you can do and the stuff that you can play in this game's snap map is absolutely amazing. The multiplayer is still pretty by the numbers, but yeah, whatever. When the single player is this good, yeah, it doesn't even really matter that much. Doom single player campaign is the ultimate FPS experience. Just labyrinthian levels, tons of demons to shoot and explode and rip apart with your own bare hands, and it is so much fun. It has a very underrated story as well, that if you dive into it, you'll see how deep the narrative really goes. If you don't want to, well, neither does Doom Guy. Doom 2016 is the best first-person shooter of this generation. There isn't even really a close second. I guess you'd say Wolfenstein: The New Order, but even that's not very close. Doom is just that good. You have to play it if you're a fan of FPSs. Next. Yep, stand back as I beat myself off once again. It's NCAA Football 2014, guys. Yep, it's another sports game. So NCAA Football 2014 would be the last entry in the NCAA football franchise, and it still hurts to this day. Yes, EA deserved to get their shit kicked in by the NCAA for using players' likenesses without their permission, but NCAA Football 2014 was so good. So it actually, to me, was a bit of a step back from NCAA Football 2013, but this entry has one big change that freaking blows the rest of the games out of the water, and that is its recruiting. NCAA Football 2014's recruiting was absolute perfection. It's one of the big reasons why I still play the game to this day, because I can get in and get out recruiting in about 5 minutes and accomplish basically in 5 minutes when past games took at least 45 minutes. Yeah, it was that bad. But NCAA Football 2014, I can deal with the very uneven gameplay in terms of passing being absolutely OP as all hell, because the gameplay overall is still very fun, even with that slight difference. And I know that when it gets to recruiting, I can just blow through in about 10 minutes at the absolute most and still have very satisfying, recruiting gameplay and whatnot. If you can see recruiting as being satisfying, I do. I have fun with this game. But I've played a shit ton of NCAA Football 2014. NCAA Football blows Madden out of the water, even to this day. EA Tiburon, you guys seriously got to reevaluate your gameplay and your many decisions when it comes to Madden, when this almost 5-year-old college football game is still blowing you away and is 10 years ahead of you in terms of gameplay. Oh, yes. Rocket League, boys. So Rocket League has, ever since that game came out, it has steadily ascended my all-time favorite games list. And it's my most played game of this generation. I'm pushing 700 hours in Rocket League. That's probably my most played multiplayer game of all time. It's right up there with Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3. So Rocket League, what more can I really say about it? You're freaking driving a car and trying to play soccer. Beginning, end, you can do flippy shit. That's basically all you need to know about Rocket League. And to the outside, it doesn't sound all that exciting, but trust me, when you play it, it's fang-seeking deep. Rocket League is like video game crack. It is so addictive. Every game, if you're the competitive type, you will be playing this game for hours upon hours upon hours on end. It is, just to the competitive type like me, just the most satisfying game you could probably ever play. It is so much fun. Next. Oh, but the loving continues. Call of Duty 4. Yep. Yeah, everybody and their mother, I think, knows how much I love Call of Duty 4. So I'm going to keep this one pretty short. Call of Duty 4, back when I got it in, I believe it was early 2008 or very late 2007, was revolutionary to me when it came to shooters as a whole. Call of Duty 4 was the game that tore me away from Halo 3, if you have any idea. If you've seen my Halo 3 review, yeah, you know. But Call of Duty 4's multiplayer was just next level when it came out, and it's still simple enough, but it's still deep enough that it holds up super well today. Even when I played the remastered version just a few weeks ago for a couple multiplayer games, I still was having an absolute blast. Even with, I think, the remastered engine they used to kind of screw things up a little. But the perks, the kill streaks, everything just is still just about as close to perfect as you can get. Modern Warfare 2 would obviously take it to a whole nother level in terms of shit they added. But Call of Duty 4 is still, I think, the king for me. I still love its single player, and combined with the multiplayer, it was that good. Next. If you know me, there's going to be a Pokemon game on this list somewhere, and it's Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So, basically, these games are remasters of the second generation of Pokemon games. But unlike the more recent remasters, which absolutely broke the games in question, Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver basically was a graphical upgrade with all the added stuff from the Sinnoh region into Gen 2, which is basically just traits and personalities and some extra stuff for Pokemon that all fit into the lore and what Pokemon's natural evolution should be. There weren't any Mega Evolutions or Zemus, Game Freak. Game Freak, yes, are you listening? Yeah, the idea was to not break the games that you made perfect the first time around. Sorry, I was on my soapbox for a second, as I still hate Oris, but Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver are the absolute perfect Pokemon games. No, Game Freak, I doubt will ever get this close to being making the perfect Pokemon games. So if there's one Pokemon game you have to play in your life, it is one of these two right here. Next. But here we are, Halo 3. Yeah, I think everyone knew this was coming, as my recent Halo 3 review kind of expanded on things. So, Halo 3 is one of the most important games in my life, and really to this channel. Single player was amazing. Multiplayer was amazing. Forge is amazing. Custom games are amazing. It's one of the best first-person shooters ever made. I'm keeping this short. Go watch my full review if you want to see my full thoughts on it. Halo 3, especially even now revisiting it with the El Dorado mod, confirms how amazing this game is. I can pick it up nowadays with some friends and play for hours on end. It's that good. Even 11 years later. I think Call of Duty passed it and then has since gone back the other direction very, very quickly. So they're still trying to catch up to what they did and what Bungie did for first-person shooters 11 years ago now. Halo 3 is absolutely jaw-droppingly good. It's my favorite game of all time. Thanks for watching.